Right, where to find an architect? It probably starts with word of mouth. You probably know somebody you work with or you're friends with that they've done an extension, they bought a new property, they might have been telling you about their architect, and this is always a good place to start because people like to work with people, and if people you trust have had a good experience with somebody, of course you're going to take their word for it. However, if you don't know anybody who has had a good experience, or you just want to work with somebody new, then I would start with the official websites. To call yourself an architect, you have to be registered with the Architects Registration Board, short ARB. So any person you meet who claims to be an architect, you should be able to find on that website. Because, however, this is not often known professional body, most architects get chartered, so they register with the RIBA, which is the Royal Institute of British Architects, which again holds a list of all registered members, whether they're individuals or companies. So you'll always be able to find out about them if they're registered, and if they're registered with either body. These bodies also make sure that they check their credentials, they check that they have a current professional indemnity insurance, which is of course very important. And please also bear in mind that the title architect is protected, so somebody who isn't a registered architect will call themselves slightly differently. So you get a lot of architectural consultants, architectural designers, architectural technologists, things like that. They might have had a similar training, but they definitely didn't go through the same checking process, and they might not have insurance. So please be aware of that. If in doubt, as I said, please check the ARB website. Then of course, there's online platforms, and rather than Googling architects, I would strongly recommend starting first with platforms like House, because it has a very strong online community, so you can check whether an architect has, for example, communicated to other members of that community, whether he or she has written something there, and obviously you can check their project. You can also check reviews, but with all reviews, it's like with word of mouth. It's much better to speak to that person who has given the review before making your final choice whether to work with that person. Not so much because there's a lot of fake reviews around, but really people like to work with people. So I'm sure in any profession, if you want to choose somebody, it's just much easier if you can talk to that person directly and ask them any questions you might have about how was this person really to deal with, was it really as nice as your review puts it, which is I think important, because working with an architect, it's quite a personal experience, and there needs to be a lot of trust. And of course, before you choose an architect, feel free to look at various magazines and newspapers. You might have come across them during your initial research on what to do with that property. At the very bottom of each of the projects which are featured, there should be a link, and at the very least a name of the architect who's designed it. So that's also a very good place to start. Architects try to get published a lot to get new clients' attention, of course. And so let's assume you've looked at all of these websites, you might have gotten some word of mouth advice, and you have a list of architects you would like to contact. And I would do just that. I would meet all of them in person, obviously talk to them over the phone, but I think there's nothing like a relaxed chat over coffee, and just tell them about the project, see how they respond, see if you like the way the conversation goes, because I think really it's like a long conversation with a trusted person. You have to be comfortable talking to them, you have to feel that they listen to you, you have to feel that they don't just push their own agenda at all costs. They should be open, in my view, to what you're actually looking for, rather than just claim that they listen and just give you their standard copy-paste design at the very end. It all depends, up to you, but I think it's really important to meet these people, and it's also a very enjoyable experience, and then you're absolutely sure whom to choose. It will be one of these things that once you know, then you'll know. So I wish you all the best of luck, and if you have any questions on the process or anything else that I mentioned, feel free to leave me a comment or send me an email, and don't forget to subscribe.